Hi, I'm David Gauvey Herbert. I'm a journalist based in New York. I spent the summer of 2016 in East and Central Africa with a grant from the Pulitzer Center on Crisis Reporting. I was looking at the ongoing hunt for Joseph Kony, who is the leader of the Lord's Resistance Army. Most Americans were introduced to the Lord's Resistance Army, or the LRA, about 5 years ago when the San Diego-based nonprofit Invisible Children uploaded a 30-minute video called Kony 2012 to YouTube. The video went viral. We got more than 120 million views in a single week, but critics really were very negative about what they perceived to be the simplifications of the conflict in the movie. Since then, Invisible Children has actually been involved in a very ambitious program to track Kony and the LRA around Central Africa using high-frequency radios. The LRA is now dispersed across a pretty vast swath of savanna in the Democratic Republic of Congo and Central African Republic. And Invisible Children has enlisted volunteer radio operators in remote villages to report attacks and help crowdsource LRA activity. I wanted to go to this region to see how that hunt was going and see it firsthand on the ground. And when I initially traveled to the region, I kind of expected to write a fairly straightforward story about Invisible Children's program. Instead, what I found surprised and somewhat unsettled me. Invisible Children has spent about $9 million creating what is essentially an intelligence gathering network for the U.S. and Ugandan militaries. They send actionable intelligence to troops in the counter-LRA operation and really are directing a lot of the search for Kony. The program violates a lot of standard ethical guidelines that NGOs you typically go by because one of their goals is to kind of wall off their activities and avoid the appearance of military collaboration. But Invisible Children doesn't really see it this way. They see their approach as a sort of welcome alternative to years of failed efforts to catch Kony. A lot of people that I talk to, including journalists and civil society people in Uganda and people on the ground in Congo, feel that the operators are really being put at risk for retribution from the LRA or from other armed actors in the region. More broadly, I developed a sense that the West in general has been more interested in this very exciting El Dorado-like hunt for Kony rather than actually solving the problems that have been left in his wake. Northern Uganda, for example, has many, many problems stemming from 2 decades of LRA violence. They have unemployment, poverty, low literacy rates, and high levels of PTSD. And yet the real money has gone into chasing Kony, whose fighters now number in the low hundreds. And that's not just Invisible Children that I'm talking about. It's also true of journalists, the International Criminal Court, and Western aid groups, all of which have been, in my mind, much more intrigued and interested in the excitement of playing cowboys and Indians rather than cleaning up in his wake. In May of this year, the U.S. and Ugandan militaries announced that they're pulling out of the search for Kony. And so now the hunt is really finished. What this means for Invisible Children's operators in Congo and CAR remains to be seen.